Alright guys, we're back. So the next step is to mount the base, the scope base. One thing that you need to be mindful of is always pay attention to the guidelines that are written in the manual. Make sure you don't over tighten anything, and make sure you take your time. You do not want to misthread these screws. You do not want to use the wrong Loctite. You do not want to use the wrong driver for the application that you're using. So please make sure you have the right tools. It only costs a couple bucks to get the right set of tools. If you use the wrong set of tools, you'll mar up the finish. You'll damage something that is much more difficult to fix in the long run. So that being said, the base that we're going to use is the loopholed base. Like I said, you can't really go wrong. This is a pretty basic part of the whole installation. This is the 20 MOA base, so it's a little bit lifted, which is nice. It's sort of what I wanted. I'm going to be installing it with a set of Wheeler tools. This is a torque screwdriver, so it goes by pound inches. The loopholed base is to be installed at no more than 22 inch-pounds. So what I'll be doing is getting it set, snug things down, and then go through and tighten everything up. I am also going to be using a basic thread locker that you can also take off. This is the 242 model. So make sure you shake it up really well. And we'll open these guys. So in here, so I could have done that on the other side, but in here comes the base, a hex screw, screwdriver, and the 4 screws to fit. So for the base, I'm going to leave the screwdriver there because I'm not going to need it. I'm going to use my torque wrench. It has to go the one direction. Obviously, you'll see the flat side coincides with the flat part of the base. So I'm going to set it right on there. You'll see it looks like a perfect bell. I'm going to take the screws. I'm going to put it on here. Right now, the torque screwdriver is sent at around 15 inch-pounds. So that way I'm not going to tighten it up too much. This is nice, it's got a flat bottom. So we can set it up like this. Take the thread locker. You just need a little bit. Little dot. Screw it down until it clicks. Now remember, that's only 15 pounds. Perfect. So now we're going to go up to 22. And we're just going to snug those down. All right, so we're going to give that about 24 hours to get solid and in place, and then we'll move on to the next one. So I'm going to go through the process of installing the scope rings and scope with you. I'm going to try to do it step by step. The camera is going to be moving from this angle to try to get over above. But basically, so what you're going to do first, you have your scope ring package. And it comes with the claws that'll attach to the rail, and then the 2-ring system set, which I have, will come apart. So first things first, you want to take these apart and make sure that you know which top half goes to which bottom half. Set those aside. Then you're going to want to attach the bases on to the rail, and you're going to have to sort of keep your eye relief in mind, so that way you have spacing on the rail and on these sections on the tube of your rifle, of your scope. So I'm going to change positions, and then we'll start putting things onto the base. So this is the lapping toolkit. So basically, the kit comes with this item. It's a grit compound, and you apply a little bit of it on the scopes and on the bar. I've already put it on the scope rings. This is the main bar for 30mm tube. Set it right on top. Then you take the tops and you set them down as well. So you're going to take your rings, snug them down a little bit. It does not have to be overly tight, just a little snug. So basically what's going to be happening is that the grit compound is going to be moving on the inside of the rings. So what this does is it basically sands down any high spots that might be on the inside of the rings. And what it does basically is that it keeps pressure points down on the tube of the scope. So we'll put this down. Okay, you can still move. You just want to snug down a little bit. You do not want it too tight. You do not want to file off any more material than is absolutely necessary. So then you basically go in a figure 8 pattern, forwards, backwards. Need a little bit more compound. Put it right on here, around the tube. Okay. There you go. That's basically all you do. I'm going to finish this up, and we'll come back in a moment. And I'll show you what the inside looks like. Okay. Over here. So what you'll find is that it just took off the surface of the metal. That gives it a little bit of an uneven hit. So just right here on the corners, right here on the back, here and here. You take a look at the top halves. You can see it just took off some of the finish line on the side of the rings. It just helps it get a little bit smoother. That way you won't have any pinch points. Okay. All right. There we go. Just want to make sure the grit is not in there anymore. Very good. Okay. Now you're going to be taking the scope, setting it right on top. And here again is another time where you're going to want to, you put your rings on and just snug it down. You do not want to go full stress yet. We still have to finalize our eye relief, and we have to finalize your level. I'm going to do my eye relief off camera, and I'll come back and show you how to level and torque down. Welcome back. So basically I figured out where my eye relief was going to be. Basically sat behind the scope, open and close my eye, and make sure that I can see the reticle clear every time that I open my eye. So the next thing that we got to do is level the scope, level the rifle, and level the scope, and make sure that they're both within the same plane, because you don't want to have the scope torqued over any, or else your crosshairs won't be perfectly perpendicular to your rifle plane. So I've put a level on the back of the action where there's a flat area, and in the mount, in my bench mount that I have, bench rest, I'm going to stabilize the rifle so it stays level. Then what we're going to do is take this flat edge. It's basically a ruler. Well, it's not basically, it is a ruler. It goes straight underneath the scope, and there's a flat part at the bottom of the scope. So what we're going to do is create level at the bottom of the scope. That way, if I have level on the rifle and level on the scope, we should be good. And right now, looks all right. Maybe we'll go a little bit further. Right there. Perfect. Level, level. And actually, this trick I saw on Eric Cortina's website, which is pretty good. They do have these levels are also magnetic, so you can stick them in certain spots. As long as it's ferrous material, it'll hook on. But this was a pretty nice trick. So the directions call for the screws on top to be torqued down to 18 pounds. So I'm not going to go all the way up to 18 pounds to start with. I'm going to go 14. We'll torque them down in a cross pattern, the same way you would putting bolts on a car, and then we'll torque them down the rest of the way. I do not like to torque down anything too fast, too quick. I also like to have my rings even, the spacing even on both sides. So when you go nice and slow, that sort of helps you make things even across the board. You don't want to have anything pushing more on any given side. You did already do the lapping, so that helps to not have any pressure points, but still, you don't want to have any large pressure points. So here's one, it's a little bit too much on this side. I'm going to loosen a little bit over here and tighten a little bit more over there. Okay. Now we'll start torquing down. So this is going to be only to about 14 pounds first. Okay. Now we'll go up to 18. Torque them down the rest of the way. take all this off. And by the way, if you get a chance to check out Eric Cortina's YouTube, he does some fantastic stuff. So there we go. If you could, like and subscribe, and you'll see the next stuff.